In the first 10 episodes of the series 1, we have proven that the true God of the Gita is the three-eyed Shiv Shankar through the Gita verses. We have proven in episode 11, part 1 and 2 of this series, that the universal God, God of Gita, Shiv Shankar, is the God mentioned in the Quran and Bible too. We have also proven in episode 12 that the belief of no rebirth in Islam and Christianity is a misinterpretation by the scholars. In the current episode, we will present the references related to dharma and adharma in the Quran, which is righteousness of heaven and unrighteousness of hell, respectively. We introduced these color codes in series 1 in a logical fashion. We request the viewers to make note of these color codes while going through the notes mentioned on the screen that are coded with these color codes. One may find an additional green color coded words. The mystery of this green personality is elaborately revealed in series 3 with a variety of evidences from all world cultures. The divine people, the people of heaven, are called the believers, and the people of hell, the demonic, are called the disbelievers. Let's look at a few verses from Quran pertaining to this topic. The ultimate victors from Surah 3 mentions, an example has been set for you by the two armies who clashed at the war of Badr, as mentioned in verse number 123 in this surah. One army was fighting in the cause of God while the other was disbelieving. They saw with their own eyes that they were twice as many. God supports with his victory whomever he wills. This should provide an assurance for those who possess vision. Now the God here is Adam, because one who supports or leaves people astray is perfected Adam, not Ruh al-Qudus. The task of Ruh al-Qudus is only to pass on the knowledge to the Adam and make him the most wise, the most high Allah, as we have already proven in episode 11, part 1. Now let's look at the meaning of the word Islam. Islam means submission or to bow the mind and intellect, meaning the soul, in front of God, and these people who submit are called believers, and they are termed as Pandavas in the Gita. Now let's look at the meaning of the word Pandava. Panda means guide in Sanskrit. Pandavas are the children or the followers who walk in the path of the guidelines set by the guide Ruh al-Qudus. Pandavas submit to God and are the ultimate victors. Arjuna is addressed as Pandava in 5 Gita verses. In verse number 5 of 16, God addresses Arjuna as Pandava and assures him that he is the one who will possess all the righteous, the divine virtues, called as Daivi Sampada. Thus, Arjuna is addressed as Purusharshabha in verse number 15 of chapter 2, which means the perfect one among all humans, who becomes eligible to obtain immortality. The best of the immortal beings is called Mahadeva, meaning the greatest of all gods and goddesses, as also mentioned in Surah 114, verse number 1 to 3 of the Quran, which we have covered in episode 11, part 1. Also, God, the Ruh al-Qudus or the Shiva, addressed him as Dehabratamvara, meaning the best of the bodily beings, in just one Gita verse 4 of chapter 8, in which Shiva says he self-manifests in the body of the Dehabratamvara, wherein he is the Adhiyagya, meaning performer of the Yagya of knowledge. Kauravas and Yadavas are the non-believers in the Quran. They do not submit to God. They prefer to indulge in the iron-aged worldly wealth and bodily pleasures. Their metaphorical names like Duryodhana, Dushasana, Dushala, etc. are the adjectives of today's iron-aged, highly body-conscious animal intellect people with 0 celestial degrees, thus called Shudras, that is the worst of the class of human beings in the Kali Yuga. The two armies are believers, meaning Pandavas, and the non-believers, Kauravas and Yadavas. They fight the war of Mahabharata in the Gita, called the war of Badra in Quran, and the war of Armageddon in the Bible, that ends the iron-aged world of adharma, of divided clashing opinions, of many divided irreligions. Let's look at a few more verses that describe about the righteousness and unrighteousness in Quran. This verse from Surah 7 mentions, O children of Adam, we have provided you with garments to cover your bodies as well as for luxury, but the best garment is the garment of righteousness. These are some of God's signs, that they may take heed. The word garment is also used in Gita verse 22 of chapter 2. Another verse from Surah 4, as for those who believe and lead a righteous life, we will admit them into gardens with flowing streams. They abide therein forever. They will have pure spouses therein. We will admit them into a blissful shade. The related Gita verses are mentioned beside the Quran references. Another verse from Surah 2 mentions it is the ego that led to Satan's fall. It is the ego that caused our exile to this world, and it is the ego that is keeping most of us from redemption to God's kingdom, the heaven. Quran mentions just the ego, but the following verses of chapter 16 mention the qualities, the demonic natures of people in the hell, the Asura Loka, the abode of people with divided opinions. Let's look at the note on the above three verses. Garden means heaven, the Devalok, as in Gita 6 of chapter 16. Pure spouses means couple who are free from desire of lust, as mentioned in Gita 1 of 16 and 11 of 7, where it mentions Dharmanukul Kam, meaning the companionship that abides by the law of righteousness. Because in paradise, humans are spiritually conscious, aware of soul, not the body. Hence, they have no attraction towards body. Proof on garment of righteousness are presented in series 1, episode 2 to 5. The custom of prohibition of sexual activity during Hajj pilgrimage is in the remembrance of Bhagavan coming and telling Arjuna, the Adam, that vice of Kama is like an enemy that keeps man away from becoming spiritually awakened, that is Atmavan, as in Gita verses 37 of 3 and 45 of 2, and many other verses that mention about controlling the bodily sense organs. Another verse from Surah 2 mentions righteousness defined. Righteousness is not turning your faces towards east or west. Righteous are those who believe in God, the last day, the angels, the scripture, and the prophets. One should remember and believe only in the perfected Adam, God the Almighty, the Allah, and follow the path that He declares to all the prophets at the end of the Iron Age, upon his becoming knowledgeful through the wisdom he receives from Ruh al-Qudus, self-manifested in him. The Gita verse 11 of 10 and many mention the same. This verse from Surah 16 mentions about the demonic people, the disbelievers, as they are dead, not alive, and they have no idea how or when they will be resurrected. This is not about being literally dead, but it is about being dead of intellect, owing to body consciousness, the vice of lust and anger, as mentioned in these Gita verses. Another verse from Surah 2 mentions, equivalence is a life-saving law for you, O you who possess intelligence, that you may be righteous. Equivalence is a life-saving law. The same is mentioned in Gita verse 20 in chapter 18, which says, the knowledge by which man perceives only one imperishable and undivided spiritual perception, that all the souls are brothers among themselves, within all diverse living beings. Know that knowledge to be the mode of golden aged goodness. Now let's look at the Quran verses which mention about the time of establishing dharma, which takes place at the end of the hell. As mentioned in the introduction to Quran from authorized English version of Quran by Rashid Khalifa, this is God's final message to humanity. All of God's prophets have come to this world and all the scriptures have been delivered. The time has come to purify and consolidate all the messages delivered by God's prophets into one message and to proclaim that henceforth there is only one religion acceptable to God, submission. Verse 213 from Surah 2 mentions, the people used to be one community when God sent the prophets as bearers of good news, as well as warners. He sent down with them the scripture bearing the truth to judge among the people in their disputes. Ironically, those who received the scripture were the ones who rejected any new scripture, despite clear proofs given to them. This is due to jealousy on their part. God guides those who believe to the truth that is disputed by all others, in accordance to His will. God guides whoever wills in a straight path. Verse number 19 from Surah 10 mentions the people used to be one congregation, then they disputed. If it were not for predetermined word from your Lord, they would have been judged immediately regarding their disputes. Now the meaning of this will become even more clearer from the next verse from Surah 42, which is about only one religion. He decreed for you the same religion decreed for Noah, and what we inspired to you and what we decreed for Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, you shall uphold this one religion and do not divide it. Now we know division happened. Abraham, Moses, and Jesus did not uphold the first religion of Noah. Noah is none other than the perfected Adam. As mentioned in the above verse, this happens because of jealousy on their part and not accepting the truth and the proofs presented by the prophets of the God, Adam, at the end of the Iron Age, a period when all are disputing. This verse from Surah 9 mentions, have they not learned anything from the previous generations, the people of Noah, Ad, Thamud, the people of Abraham, the dwellers of Midian, and the evildoers of Sodom and Gomorrah? Their messengers went to them with clear proofs. God never wronged them. They are the ones who wronged their own souls. Now, as mentioned in Gita verse 20 and 21 of chapter 9, the gods and goddesses of heaven also become demons at the end of the Iron Age. And that is when God comes and gives them the knowledge of becoming righteous once again and go to heaven in the next cycle. This is a continuous, eternal cycle of day and night. To summarize the above 4 Quran verses, which clearly means that all the religions and the relevant scriptures become full of falsehood, be it scriptures of Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Sikhism. The Adi Sanatana Devi Devata Dharma, which was the dynasty of gods and goddesses established by Noah, also becomes full of falsehood and is called Hinduism under the influence of the 7 religions of hell, namely Islam, Buddhism, Christianity, Sannyasa, Muslim, Sikhism, Arya Samaj, which are established by human prophets. The one religion of heaven and the 7 religions of hell is the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the Lotte tree, which we will cover in series 3. Let's look at a verse that confirms that the perfected Adam, the Shiv Shankar himself, is the Noah. This verse from Surah 7 mentions, we sent Noah to his people saying, O my people, worship God. You have no other God beside him. I fear for you the retribution of an awesome day. The leaders among his people said, we see that you are far astray. He said, O my people, I am not astray. I am a messenger from the Lord of the universe. I deliver to you the messages of my Lord, and I advise you, and I know from God what you do not know. Is it Too much of a wonder that a reminder should come to you from your Lord through a man like you, to warn you and to lead you to righteousness that you may attain mercy? They rejected him. Consequently, we saved him and those with him in the ark, and we drowned those who rejected our revelations. They are blind. Surah 2, verse number 37 mentions, Then Adam received from his Lord words whereby he redeemed him. The words colored in green, the Lord of night, of 7 stars, the prophets of 7 irreligions that shine in the night. They are said to be the leaders in this statement who reject the crescent moon's words when he comes and tells that I come to give you my Lord's message. That is, his father Adam's message. Please see Series 3 with all world pictorial evidences supported by the ancient Jewish Tanakh, Rig Veda, and Gita verses. Thus, this verse, which we have already discussed from Surah 42, mentions, He decreed for you the same religion decreed for Noah, and what we inspired to you and what we decreed for Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. You shall uphold this one religion and do not divide it. The following Quran verses will make it clear how the division happened. This Quran verse from Surah 39 mentions the idols as mediators, a common myth. Absolutely, the religion shall be devoted to God alone. Those who set up idols beside Him say, We idolize them only to bring us closer to God, for they are in a better position. God will judge them regarding their disputes. God does not guide such liars, disbelievers. Another verse from Surah 68 mentions, Do they have idols? Let their idols help them, if they are truthful. The day will come when they will be exposed, and they will be required to fall prostrate, but they will be unable to. With their eyes subdued, humiliation will cover them. They were invited to fall prostrate when they were whole and able. Idol worship is also evident from the fact that was proven in episode 11, part 1 and 2, where perfected Adam was ignored and in his place the Son of God was mentioned to be Muhammad in Quran and Jesus in the Bible. And similarly in Hinduism too, many bodily gurus introduce the other gods and goddesses who are worshipped, whereas the perfected Adam, Shiv Shankar, is the only one who is worship worthy, the universal God, as proven in the first 10 episodes of Series 1. The righteous man, Noah, is the perfected Adam himself, the first created man, the Adi Manu, the Arjun, as in Gita, verse 1 of chapter 4. We request the viewers to watch the 3 series and the episodes within the series in the numbered sequence. We have used questioning technique where each and every point is questioned, answered in the most practical manner, supported by religious scriptural references and other authentic evidences, and thus are arranged in logically meaningful flow.